Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Sunday afternoon live stream for the 2025 fantasy football season. Of course, the next hour is going to consist of all things fantasy football. So if you do have a question, be sure to go ahead, type it in the live chat. Please make sure that you include your scoring format when you ask a question. How many teams are in your league? The more context you provide, the easier it'll be on my end. But I hope you guys are having a great draft weekend. For those of you who have already drafted already, I'm curious to see what you guys have built in terms of squads. So be sure to go ahead and type that in the live chat. If you haven't drafted yet, of course, hopefully I can answer some questions and give you some advice as you approach your upcoming drafts so that we can set ourselves up for success to begin the season. And then for weeks 1 through 18, of course, guide you week over week with starter sits, waiver wire pickups, trades, all that kind of jazz as we continue on to try to capture a 2025 fantasy football championship. So again, over the next hour plus here, I'm answering any and all questions. So if you guys have it, let's get to it, shall we? I see Soul315 sent in a super chat. Just want to quickly say thank you for that. Appreciate it. He says, in a half PPR, I have Genty, JT Kamara, Montgomery Swift, and Evans, Drake London, and Brian Thomas Jr. Starting JT and Genty, Drake London, and Brian Thomas Jr. Who should I flex? Considering your team, I would either Alvin Kamara or Evans is going to start every single week going into this upcoming season. If we're specifically talking about week 1, I feel comfortable with the idea of starting Kamara against the Arizona Cardinals because I know that's going to be a negative game script. They're already minus 5.5 point underdogs at home. A negative game script with Rattler, how that defense is probably going to perform. Kamara is going to be a really solid option. Again, once I've gone ahead and I've done all the research in regards to Evans, his matchup against AJ Terrell, how he fared last season. I mean, we know that the Atlanta Falcons versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, both games were shootouts. Both were, almost 60-point totals in both the overall matchup. So I don't think there's a wrong answer between the two, but as we get closer to this upcoming weekend, I'll probably, let's see here. I can probably give you just a little bit of insight. Let me just check something real quick, and I'll tell you immediately who I would rather play as of right now. Doesn't mean the answer won't change up until this upcoming Sunday or, the next Sunday. As of right now, I probably go ahead and I play Mike Evans, legitimately. I think both are great plays, but I probably end up going with Mike Evans there because of how many injuries that offense has. He's going to have to be a huge part of that offense in order for them to compete in that matchup. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We had a lot of questions in the live chat. Hope you guys are doing well on this marvelous, draft Sunday. Maybe many of you have already drafted, but I have many of drafts ahead later this afternoon, so I wanted to go ahead, come in here really quickly and just answer some questions and then head on my way and start drafting. Somebody asked Devontae Adams or Ricky Pearsall. It's 100% Devontae Adams, and it's not relatively close. Demon says, is Jalen Coker ranking at 128 flex still accurate with him on the IR? No, it's not accurate. Again, the most recent updated rankings that I posted on Patreon and or sent out via Betr. Again, if you guys want to get those rankings, you can sign up using code Andrew today via Betr. Not only will you get the new promotion as of right now, you get a free $10 as long as you sign up. You're good to go via Betr. But if you sign up using code Andrew, make that first time deposit minimum of 10, and then use that deposit money, the real cash money, to make a play more or less on any given players, you'll get those rankings not only for your upcoming drafts, but every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season for weekly rankings. Now, in regards to those rankings, those were the most latest ones. I think we're on the 28th. So no, it does not include an adjustment to Jalen Coker, Leggett, and a slight bump to McMillan. But it's not significant enough to where, we weren't really drafting Coker very high anyway. So at this position, just bump him down and don't even draft him. If you want to, I think he's a potential player that you might want to pick up either in your final round instead of a defense, throw him onto your IR, and then pick up a defense subsequently after. I think that's probably the right play or plan of action there. Gary was saying Superflex draft today. I have no problem doing that. If we can get 12 people to join, that would be actually very beneficial, as I have a lot of Superflex drafts coming up just today. So that would be very helpful. Thank you. Let's see here. What else do we have in this chat? Robert, what's up, man? It says, good day. Okay, here we go. It says, just finished 24-hour, 17-pound brisket smoking session. It's resting for the neighborhood feast in 2 hours. Where's my invite, Robert? I don't understand this. What is going on here? Listen, you tell everybody you've got 17 pounds of smoked brisket, ready to go, and I don't even get an invite. This is unbelievable. No, I'm just kidding. I hope you guys enjoy that. Mac sends in a question. Thank you, Mac. says, would you draft Justin Jefferson over Barkley? In a full PPR, I would. In a half PPR, I most likely end up drafting someone. Yeah, it's not even close. In a half, in a half and a standard, I'm taking Barkley. In a full PPR, I have to really think about it because again, there is going to be regressionary points from Barkley. As to how significant they are, time will tell. As to Justin Jefferson's hamstring, how developed that is, I've seen him practice. I've seen him run full speed. I have no issue with him. I'm expecting him to be great. So if you want to just like split hairs and you still want to take Barkley, I have no issue with that. I have them back-to-back ranked in my full PPR. Robert says it was insinuated. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I'll be right there. Let's see here. A Demon says, hey, Andrew, use your rankings to draft. Let's see what you had. 16-team league. Geez, that's going to be an interesting turnout here. You have Trevor Lawrence, which is perfectly fine in a 16-team league, kind of punting on the quarterback position. You have Chase Brown, great. Caleb Johnson, solid RB2 in this circumstance. Mike Evans, BTJ, Kittle, Pearsall, Braylon Allen, Charbonnet, Pop Douglas, and Bills defense. I think that's really solid across the board without a doubt in my mind. Again, you did sacrifice a little bit on the potential of your RB2, but I think Caleb Johnson is a solidified enough kind of play that over time should be able to kind of outpace Jaylen Warren. And then your wide receivers, tight ends, RB1, and quarterback are all solid. And you also really have good kind of flex depth with Pearsall in the mix. And then, of course, the lottery tickets of Charbonnet and Braylon Allen. I think that's a really good position to be in there, Demon. Revin was in the chat, says, I got Josh Allen and Justin Fields in my Superflex league. Is Fields good enough for that spot? Okay, look, here's the thing. Justin Fields hasn't shown us anything less than a consistent level of production over the course of the last 3 seasons. Like, truly, he is one of the most dynamic quarterbacks. I understand that there are going to be games where he puts up only 14 points in a 4-point per passing touchdown format. But he's also going to be, like I mentioned just a couple of days ago when I talked about Justin Fields, he has the 8th highest rate of 20-plus point fantasy games over the course of the last 3 years. Like, the names that he is alongside of, let me see if I can go pull this back up really quickly. Like, we know that he is a high upside player because of that rushing total. And we know that the Jets are going to run the crap out of the ball because they can't do anything else. Like, that's just what this offense is going to be predicated on. Outside of Garrett Wilson, who's their next most established receiver? It's like Josh Reynolds or Allen Lazard, which, I mean, in the NFL, in this day and age, that's not going to be able to, to get the job done as much as it may have been able to secure some victories in seasons past, maybe with a better quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. But let me find this really quickly. So in regards to Mr. Justin Fields, yeah. So the names that in specific, he has the 8th highest 20-plus point fantasy rate over the course of the last 3 seasons. He's at a 42%, only behind Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Burrow, Purdy, Murray, and Mayfield. So, again, when we're talking about is he worth it? Absolutely. As long as it's a 4-point per passing touchdown league, he's absolutely worth it. In a 6-point per passing touchdown league, that's when it begins to kind of knock down his value to the extent to where we may be a little bit concerned about that. But otherwise, I think that combo, perfect for a super flex format. All right, we had a couple super chats sent in. Easy E, before we did so, said happy birthday. Thank you. Park in the chat was saying JSN or Brees in the flex. I'd rather play JSN. I don't really like the idea of playing Brees up against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense week 1. Rather, I will take JSN against the 49ers. H. Jockish 7 sends in a question. Says, is J-Jets and McCaffrey stack advisable? Yeah, I have no issue with that at all. Is it advisable? I mean, if you want to win your league this season, if you can get them both, absolutely, let's run it. Like, come on. We're talking about 2 players that, sure, as of right now, Christian McCaffrey last season missed a significant volume of time because of the Achilles tendonitis. Looks like a brand new man. Everybody in that organization, whether it is Trent Williams, whether it's Kyle Shanahan, whether it's Kyle Juszczyk, has all said that this is the Christian McCaffrey of 2023. This is the offensive player of the year that we've got back now. He's ready to go. So all signs are pointing towards him being able to outproduce where he is currently being drafted. That's why I'm so confident on his potential, because we know that his upside for production is higher than just about anybody in the National Football League, and especially in fantasy football. So 100% advisable to take him right now. As for Justin Jefferson, I understand, new quarterback, very concerning, but we have played this new quarterback game for the 2nd consecutive offseason. I think we've learned Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof. His hamstring looks like it's getting way better as he has run around in practice full speed for a while now. Kaner sends in a question, says, I have the 1.07. I'm between Neighbors and Christian McCaffrey. What start do you like better? Neighbors, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, or Christian McCaffrey, Lad McConkey, and Kenneth Walker? I don't think I should do double wide receiver or running back. Okay, so I'm not sure what your scoring format is. I think that kind of could advise where you're going to go in terms of the path of which you select here. As of right now, personally, I would prefer to go with the Christian McCaffrey path because that is my highest ranked player. In the event in which you are a little bit less, if you are worried about the injury risk and you just want to take the Neighbors route, I have no issue with it at all in my mind. But as of right now, the thing that kind of throws me off is that I don't like the Lad McConkey second round pick. If it was me, like objectively speaking, I prefer the Neighbors, like Chase Brown K9 combo rather than the Christian McCaffrey Lad and K9 combo. Now, if I could make some adjustments there and maybe get somebody better than Lad in the second round, great. If not, then I probably start with the other combo because I actually prefer it as a trio in comparison. But you know me. I prefer that Christian McCaffrey half PPR any day of the week. Jeff Miller has sent in a super chat. Thank you very much, Jeff. Very kind of you. Thank you. Says in a 10-team half PPR format, 3 wide receivers and 2 flex. Start quarterback. Fields or May. Week 1, we're starting Drake May. He has the very easy matchup at home against the Las Vegas Raiders defense. We'll take that. As for running backs, Achane, Travion Henderson, Dobbins, Etienne. Achane has to start against Indianapolis. Again, he's going to be a receiving dominator in that matchup. I'll take Henderson as well, taking on the Raiders. That should be solid there. I'll leave Dobbins and Etienne on the bench. I know that Dobbins could have value because they are going to blow out the Tennessee Titans most likely. And Etienne has a really enticing matchup against Carolina. All 4 of those players are going to be ranked in tomorrow's top 36 running backs for week 1. But as of right now, Achane and Travion Henderson take the spots there. Nakua gets a starting spot alongside of most likely... I probably end up playing... I'm not going to joke. I think I probably end up playing Pearsall next to him. Play McBride at tight end. And then in the flex position, we either go JMO or Ridley. Just have to kind of wait and see how my wide receivers rankings kind of break down as we get closer to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thank you. Craig's Lister sends in a question. Thank you very much. Very generous of you sending in that super chat. Says, Mayfield, Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Evans, Ridley, McBride, K9, Pollard. My bench consists of Love, Caleb, McCarthy. Really? You have 4 quarterbacks on roster? It's a 10-team half PPR, 2 flex. Rush per first down is 0.25 each. Okay, so you don't need 4 quarterbacks unless you're playing in a in a super flex league. Let me see what your trade is. It says, do I trade either Taylor plus Kenneth Walker or Gibbs plus Ridley for Jaden Daniels and Njigba? Wow. I quite frankly don't make any of those trades. I keep what you have, to be honest. Yeah, I keep it as is. Because, I don't think you need to make the move. I think Mayfield is sufficient enough to get the job done. I don't think I need Jaden Daniels there. Thank you. Matthew Milburn sends in a question. Thank you very much, Matthew. I don't see anything attached to your current question, so maybe it is somewhere in the mix. Where the heck is... Okay, there it is. It says, rate my draft, please. In a full PPR, Josh Allen, Chase Brown. Ooh, okay. You have Bijan Robinson as well. Okay. Mike Evans. Tyreek Hill, Njoku, Breece Hall, Pearsall, Caleb Johnson, Trevor Lawrence, Loveland, Myers, Mixon, Shaheed, and Shakir. I mean, at this point, I don't think... Okay, look, here's the thing, guys. If you're going to be drafting Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, I don't think it's necessary to roster a second quarterback this early if you play in a 1 QB league. If you're only rostering a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence in order to maybe take his value and use him as a trade piece going forward, that's fine. But I don't think you need to roster a second quarterback. Now, in regards to the rest of your team, I mean, I really don't have any complaints when you have Chase Brown, Bijan Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans. That's a really strong start in my mind. Again, you're able to take advantage of the veteran wide receivers that, yes, are older players, but are still as good as they've been in the last couple seasons. And, pretty much get the discount on them. Double flex format, getting Hall and Pearsall in that mix, going to be able to rotate guys like Caleb Johnson, Jacoby Myers, maybe Mixon comes back this season. Pretty strong looking team there across the board. Easy E sent in a question. Easy, what'd you say here? Said happy birthday. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yes, all year long. Let's go. All right, really quickly. Like you guys mentioned, I kind of want to do a quick little mock draft here. So I'm gonna set that up, and then we'll be good to go. So I'll answer questions as we mock draft. This is gonna be a super flex. So this is basically a 2 QB format. So let's go ahead and let's do exactly that as we speak. So we'll take this to a half PPR, 12 teams, 60-second timer, third round reversal. We'll have it as a 3 wide receiver, and we'll add a super flex update. I want the number 2 spot, and that's it. So if you would like to join, draft alongside of me. If you guys are playing in a super flex this weekend, be sure to go ahead and join that. I'll continue to answer questions as we progress. Until then, let me answer Daniel's question in the chat. It says, in a 10-team half PPR, I want to trade up Mark Andrews and have DJ, Egbuka, Olave, Tank, Mason Taylor, and Jaden Blue on the bench. Any trade ideas? I mean, if you're going to trade up Mark Andrews, you're going to have to, I mean, again, there's not too many tight ends you're trading up for. You just have to go find a team based on what you're suggesting on moving. You have, Egbuka, Olave. I think it's not a 2-for-1 deal. I think it's more of a 2-for-2 kind of situation. Because if you send Mark Andrews and Egbuka, like, I better be getting a top 3 guy back. Like, at least, like, Laporta maybe at least comes back to me. If not Kittle. But I think it's probably in your best interest to, like, take, like, a Mark Andrews, take Olave, and go get his tight end and a lesser wide receiver off his bench. That's the way that I would kind of think it could potentially be done. But again, it's all, the value is in the eye of the beholder, right? What does that player really want for the tight end that they have on roster that they spent such a high draft capital in order to acquire? Thomas Dabney sends in a question, says, draft was crazy this year. Josh Allen gone in the first round. PPR, I have Caleb, Jamar, Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, CD Lamb, and Njoku, Chase Brown, BTJ. Okay. I don't know how you managed to pull that roster together, Thomas, but it seems like you're winning the league this year, man. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't really seem like anybody's going to be able to stop you. Philip Zhang sends in a question. Thank you, Philip. Says, in the 11th pick in a half PPR, if I start wide receiver, running back, Genty, Henry gone. Okay. Is it too early to take Brown, Bucky, Achane at 14th? No, I don't think it's too early. How do you rank them? In a half PPR as it currently stands, I don't mind grabbing like Bucky, Brown, Achane in that order in a half PPR at the number 14 spot, under the assumption that you start with a wide receiver in round 1 and then grab that running back in round 2. Like, let's say, for example, at the pick 11, you get like Amon-Ra, followed up with a Bucky Irving or potential Chase Brown. I have no issue with that at all, under the assumption that, there's no potential of Puka Nacua also being there. Like, if you have like a Puka Nacua Amon-Ra combo, I have no issue going in that direction either, if you want to go double wide receiver. But considering the half PPR format, it's probably in your best interest to grab one of those backs. As it currently stands in terms of my rankings, let me pull it up real quick. I have, I mean, I'd go Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, Devon Achane in that order. And I don't think it's too early in that circumstance. Unless, of course, like I mentioned, someone like a Malik Neighbors or Amon-Ra St. Brown are available there in a half PPR, Puka Nacua. If any of those 3 wide receivers there, I don't mind going double wide receiver. Excuse me. Thank you. All right. Almost filled out this draft again. I just typed the link in for those of you who want to draft in a super flex half PPR 3rd round reversal league, just to kind of go ahead and simulate. If you guys are drafting in a super flex this weekend, click on the link, join below. Thank you very much. Kaiser sends in a question, says, question is in the chat. Go. Thank you very much. Congrats on big 67, imagine. Yeah, I'm a long ways from there, but I appreciate it. Thanks, Kaiser. Let's see. Kaiser says, happy birthday. In a 10-team full PPR league, I got Mahomes, CD, BTJ, T. Higgins, Josh Jacobs, Trevion Henderson, Njoku, Ridley, Pearsall, Downs, Judkins, Blue, Sampson, and Aubrey. Is there any trades I should be looking for? I mean, look, at the moment, right? You have Mahomes. Great. You have a top 8 quarterback. You have CeeDee Lamb, BTJ, T. Higgins, Josh Jacobs, Trevion Henderson. You're not really making moves there at all. You have Ricky Pearsall, Ridley, Downs, Judkins. I mean, the way that I see it, expect for teams to probably be asking to trade with you for Pearsall and Ridley, because they're not going to be starting on your team, because somebody's going to be left out on the bench because you have so many studs. So As of right now, you're not really making any moves. Stand pat and just kind of let the team build accordingly, or just kind of stand accordingly. And in the coming weeks here, you will most likely be asked to make some trades here. Okay, let's see here. Just trying to catch up on some of these questions. I see that John sent in a super chat. Thank you very much, John. Says, I got offered BTJ for Chase Brown. Do I take it? PPR, yes. I would take BTJ under the assumption it's not going to destroy your running back depth. Okay, we've got a full draft here. We're going to go ahead and start it. Best of luck, everybody. Let's enjoy this mock draft as we continue on here. Christian McCaffrey taken first makes me have a stomach ache. Again, we should be... This is super flex. I'm taking my boy, Josh Allen. All right, let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, caught up there. James Malfatti, thank you very much, James. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Says, happy belated birthday, buddy. Thanks, man. In my 10-man league, in a half PPR, 6 point per passing touchdown. I was the 10th pick, and I got Ash, Neighbors, Josh Allen. Okay, so Ash and Genty, Neighbors, Josh Allen, in the third, in a 6 point per passing touchdown league, which is ridiculous. I would even argue that Josh Allen's a second-round pick, so you got a round discount there. But again, it is a 10-man league, so I could understand it. Evans, Kamara, Worthy, and Swift. T-Mac in the 10th round. Okay, T-Mac in the 10th round is highway robbery. I think you should probably be locked up for that. I'm just kidding, James. That's a great draft. I mean, the fact that you're able to start as strong as you were and still get players like Kamara as late as the 5th and T-Mac as late as the 10th, yeah, you obviously... swindled your league a little bit there. All right. Jordan Olson sends in a question, says, on pick 1.03, who would you take 8-man full PPR? Under the assumption that Bijan goes number 1 or Jamar Chase goes number 1, either of the two. Let's say one of the two, or both of them are gone, okay, theoretically speaking. We're going to see it's either Gibbs or Lamb. Preferably, I am more of a running back connoisseur of sorts. I would rather have Gibbs, but I have CeeDee Lamb projected for more points this season. So I would suggest taking Lamb. I would personally take Gibbs. There's a little bit of a difference there just because of how I like to build my teams off the back of running backs kind of carrying me. Oni sends in a question. Oni, thank you very much. Oni says the following. PPR team, Jackson, Irving, Walker, Lamb, Worthy, Warren. Okay, Jackson, Walker, Irving, beautiful. Lamb, solid. Wow. Okay, so that's a really strong first 4 rounds to say the very least. Then you have Worthy, Warren, and Pearsall. Fantastic. They're all great contributors. You have Charbonnet as the handcuff. You have Harvey as well off of the bench. You have Kraft as your tight end. Fantastic. You got the potential of Mims, Shakir, and Ayuk. Yeah, okay. Any weaknesses? I think your biggest weakness is not really a weakness per se. It's just a matter of your tight end is incredibly touchdown dependent, but luckily he plays with the Green Bay Packers, and they really do look in his direction as the number 1 red zone threat outside of Josh Jacobs, so that's fantastic. So hopefully he gets more targets per game this season, so he's a little bit more of a threat in a PPR, because last year there were a couple disappointing performances, especially late in the season, when he's not getting more than 4 or 5 targets in a game. But outside of that, I think it's not really a weakness, but it's a matter of like, we're trying to figure out who is your established wide receiver 2. Is that going to be Worthy or is that going to be Pearsall? And once you figure that out, it's then being able to determine whether Harvey is good enough to play in that flex over one of them. Not, again, there's no weakness. It's just a matter of we're waiting and we're letting it marinate to figure out who is going to be those starters, going forward in the beginning of that season. Ty says, my league is unique. We can start 5 flex players, but I don't have to start any specific number of position players. I have the 1.04. You can start 5 flex players, don't have to start any specific number. Okay, so you can start 5 running backs is what you're saying, or 5 wide receivers in this case. You're at the 1.04 in a full PPR. I would take 5 wide receivers and I'd play them all. That's legitimately what I would do in a full PPR. Let's see here. Lamosity sends in a question, says it's in the chat. Thank you very much, Lamosity. Appreciate it. Says, rank my draft. I'm in a 10-team half PPR, pick 6. I have Mayfield, Drake May, Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, Kenneth Walker, Bigsby, Justin Jefferson, JSN, McLaurin, Olave, Meyer, Shakir, and Ingram. Yeah, really solid team there, man. I mean, anytime you're able to get JJ and JSN, along with Chase Brown and Bucky Irving, again, those are really, really, really solid first 4 picks in a 10-man league. So, hats off to you. Well done putting that together. And then on top of it, still continuing to build value with Walker, McLaurin, and Mayfield and Ingram. Again, I don't really see an issue with this team. The only thing that I think that you may, hopefully, I'm just knock on wood, hopefully you're not going to regret it, is not getting Charbonnet. That's my only concern, because Walker needs Charbonnet attached to him. Papa Young, what's up, man? Says you skipped me. Did you send in something that I missed? Let me see here. Papa Young, there it is. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let me get back to that. Papa Young says, much love, Andrew. Question is below. Oh, wait. I skipped a couple of you, actually. Wow. My bad. I mean, I updated the YouTube chat, and I don't know. Anyway, I'll catch up to those right now. It says, rate my team in a 10-team full PPR. We have Josh Allen, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, RJ Harvey. Okay. Charbonnet. So you've definitely took the discount at running backs in order to probably solidify your other positions, as I can tell. Sun God, Nico Collins, Bowers, Pickens, Jaden Higgins, Mooney. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So basically you went double wide receiver into a tight end, into a quarterback, and then we're still able to get the services of James Conner and Kenneth Walker, who will both be top 20 running backs this season in rounds 4 and 5. I have no issue with that at all. Again, in a 10-team league, you can absolutely get away with these things, and you really just have a bunch of studs across the board. The only thing is, can they stay healthy? That's really the only question in mind. So as long as you have Charbonnet, and I would even argue, as long as you have Trey Benson on roster for James Conner, I know Harvey's going to be fine, but as long as you have those handcuffs available and are willing to fight for them with fab or waiver wire priority, I think you're going to be in a really good spot there, Papayon. John Koziar sends it a question. Says Jonnu Smith or Theo Johnson at my tight end. What do you think in a full PPR? I'd rather have Jonnu Smith there. He's going to be exclusively playing within the slot position of that offense, so I think it's going to be really beneficial for him. I know that Russell Wilson obviously has a tendency to throw the ball towards the tight end position. There's definitely a lot of potential for Theo Johnson come this season. So let me just see what we have available in terms of the best players. Okay, we're playing in a half PPR. At this point, I don't really need to take my second quarterback. I'm just going to go running back here, most likely. Oh, you know what? We have Brian Thomas Jr. available there. So that might be my play. Let me just check real quick. That's my play. Now, the third round reversal is about to click in here. So what likely happens is third round reversal will hit, and the 3.1 could probably get running back or begin to invest in that quarterback combo, potentially. Anyway, as of right now, I'm leaning towards the Jonnu Smith because I know that the offense is so heavily tight end, integrated in comparison to the Giants. I'd probably, at one point this season, we'll probably mention Theo Johnson. He just requires so much touchdown upside and guarantee that it's going to be difficult considering the weapons that are in that offense, probably pulling value from him. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling back down, I think I've caught up on just about anybody. Okay, Papayon, we caught up with you. Oni says, I also have Warren. Let me go back up to your question, Oni. Yeah, Jaylen Warren is somebody that, again, in terms of a flexible option, hopefully he's going to, especially in any sort of PPR functionality, be relevant. That's, fingers crossed. Rendell Sanchez sends it a question. Thank you very much, sir. Greatly appreciate it. It says, I won my 20-team league PPR last year. I got my draft tonight with 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, 1 defense, and 1 kicker, 4 bench players. People draft quarterback heavily. Any strategy? Thank you. In a 20-team league, I could absolutely justify the idea of taking a quarterback early because, again, you would rather have a top 12 quarterback rather than having to start Geno Smith every single week. So absolutely, I agree that a quarterback should probably come off of the board, but you don't want to also overpay for said quarterback. If I was in your position, I'm looking towards maybe selecting a quarterback in that 3rd or 4th round, depending on what is available. It really just a matter of who are you targeting to acquire. I'm thinking the best potential option could or should be someone of the form of maybe you wait, you get a Caleb Williams, maybe you wait, you get a Brock Purdy, names that, again, you're going to get at a discount based on ADP, and additionally, you don't have to fight for some of the top end guys while still being able to structure out your roster, because really the importance of having solid running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends in this league are really going to be the difference maker rather than that quarterback, because there's going to be a lot of teams with really bad quarterbacks. And as long as your running backs and wide receivers can outplay them, I think you'll be fine in the long run. Sway sends in a question. Says draft strategy, 9th pick, PPR, 12-man league. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. Okay. In a PPR 9th pick, I'm doubling up on wide receiver most likely. If I can get in the 9th pick of a 12-team PPR Neighbors, Puka, or Amon-Ra, I'm investing there. I'm additionally following up with hopefully a BTJ or Nico Collins in the 2nd round. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I know that in a PPR format, I'm trying to fill those flex spots with wide receivers. I'm trying to grant myself that advantage because I know once the 3rd round comes along here, you could probably put yourself in a position to where you could still get a solid PPR back either in the 3rd or 4th round. Now, let's say, for example, you wanted to approach with a balanced RB wide receiver kind of attack. You could absolutely do so, but you'd have to go hero RB. Considering the 2 open flex spots in a full PPR should most likely be wide receiver, you want to prioritize that. So whether you grab 1 running back in the first 2 rounds is up to you. That's really a personal preference. But from rounds 3 through 5, wide receiver, it could be a tight end in round 3, but at least 2 wide receivers out of those 3 selections for sure to try to solidify that kind of PPR advantage that you'll be able to claim early on. Okay, let's see here. Bowers going in round 3 as we would expect in a full PPR or, this kind of a format. Let's see what kind of quarterbacks are available. Okay, we still got a lot of value here. Not really too interested there. Running back still has at least some pretty good players as well. Wide receivers got some pretty good players as well. Continuing on, this is a 3 wide receiver league. Remember this. In terms of if I go to settings, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex, and 1 super flex. So I still want to prioritize wide receiver to the best of my ability, in which I'm doing so there. And then now I'm looking to potentially solidify a running back. In which I will grab Kamara in the 3rd or 4th, excuse me. Okay, continuing on. We had a question that came in from Nathan Dennison. Thank you very much, Nathan. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Full PPR. You think the Commanders' defense are a good start for what, week 1 against the Giants? I don't think so. Listen, the Commanders' defense is more of a, they got to prove it to me before I can start them. If anything, week 1, guys, I'm starting the Cardinals' defense on all my teams in which I'm streaming defenses. So if you're going to go for a defense week 1, it's probably the Cardinals. If you're not able to, of course, get the Denver Broncos, which against, Tennessee week 1 is the next most favorited team based on, the sportsbook lines. But let's see. ETN must start, ? I think there's a conversation to be had there for week 1 against Carolina. Carolina can't stop the run. So Bigsby and ETN will be in tomorrow's top 36 running back rankings video. Again, there's still so much in question. In comparison to what you have, Nathan, it says, who should I flex between ETN, Sutton, and Tracy? I'm starting Sutton against Tennessee, week 1. Thank you. Stoic Thoughts sends in a question. Says that I'm in an 8-man full PPR league. I think I went to 2 running back heavy. Okay. Says Bijan, Chase Brown, RJ Harvey. No, I think you're fine there. Tight ends, Hawkinson, solid. Wide receivers are AJ Brown, Evans, McMillan, beautiful. Ridley, Terry, and Olave. Am I cooked? No, you're good. What are you talking about? You have Bijan, Chase Brown. That's a solid RB1 and 2. Fantastic. Beautiful. Now it's just a matter of, did you get enough wide receiver talent? Which you did. You got AJ Brown, top 10. Evans, top 15. Actually, arguably in a full PPR, yes, top 15. Again, Mike Evans has been a top 17 full PPR wide receiver for the last 9 consecutive seasons. So you got another great option there. You have McMillan, who all the wide receivers around him have either been traded away or injured. You have Terry McLaurin, who's coming off of a top 12 season, who could very easily repeat because of the talent, the talent of Jaden Daniels. You have Ridley, who should be able to get himself into the better conversation, considering, of course, he has an upgraded quarterback. I think you're in a fantastic position. You've got enough RB depth, and you've got enough wide receiver depth. Now, the question is, who is your quarterback? That's what I want to know. All right, we had a question that came from Johnny Kilroy. Johnny, thank you very much. Says, do you think Quinshon Judkins will play this season? If so, when? I have no clue. Listen, he hasn't even been signed yet. Of all the second-round selections, this is a rare instance where a player gets into a off-the-field issue, and then doesn't sign with a team, does not participate in training camp. I am still awaiting to hear from the NFL league offices. I think there is a very high likelihood that they may explore the possibility of putting him on the commissioner's exempt list to force him not to be able to play until the NFL does their investigation and potentially even imposes their own suspension. Time will tell. Again, the NFL has done some interesting things year over year here. Again, I don't know if what he did or what the situation is. All I know is that there was some sort of domestic something. So obviously not a good situation. Hopefully everybody's safe. And all that really matters is if you have him on roster, you probably also want to roster Dylan Sampson just so you have some sort of value out of that backfield just in case. Let's see here. Tropland Universe says, hey, brother, love the channel. Got Christian McCaffrey and Saquon this year. Fingers crossed. Absolutely. Listen, not fingers crossed. We got to go to a church. We got to light a candle or something, man. We need something. We need some extra. Fingers crossed is not going to cut it. Let's see here. Dan sends in a super chat. Thank you, Dan. Says in a full PPR. Flex, Egbuka, Pickens, or Pearsall. Note, I have two other Bucks, Evans and Bucky, in my starting lineup. I was going to tell you to play Egbuka this week. And I think I might still do so because they play against Atlanta. It's going to be a shootout. I think I tell you to play Egbuka there. Because again, yeah, you have to. I think you invested in him to play him this week. That's the way that I go about it. I'd like to wait and see what the Dallas Cowboys are capable of against that Eagles defense on the road before I want to go ahead and fully throw it in there. Pearsall and Egbuka are going to be really close in my rankings come Tuesday. So we'll just keep an eye on that. As of right now, I'm suggesting Egbuka because I really think it's going to be a great value there. All right, continuing on. We had a question from Nicholas. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Appreciate it. It says in a 12-man full PPR league, we have Lamar, Bucky, Kamara. Okay, Lamar, Bucky, Kamara. Justin Jefferson, Pickens, and Njoku Ridley. Thoughts on my team on the 6th pick? I mean, as of right now, Bucky Jefferson as a 1-2 combo into Lamar in the 3rd, Kamara in the 4th, I think is really strong. I mean, ultimately, the backbone of your team is Jefferson and Bucky and Lamar, right? Lamar has to have another one of these MVP-esque seasons. Jefferson's got to be better than he was last year. Bucky Irving's got to just maintain his value. Kamara's going to be great because he's done it year over year for such a long time. Njoku's going to be fantastic to begin with. Ridley's going to have an improvement. Pickens is really your biggest question mark. Can Dak Prescott really dice up the league? If he can, then you're in a really, really solid spot here in the 12-team league. Wild Man Kyle says, Dobbins underrated? Yeah, I think so. But come week 1, we'll get an idea as to what kind of a split we're going to get there. Considering they're playing against the Titans, they're already minus 5.5 point favorites in that matchup. Expect for a lot of rushing in the second half in order to bleed out the clock. We should see a lot of Dobbins in that matchup, but we'll see who gets the first crack at the rushing attempts. I think it's going to be a little bit of a 50-50 split to begin, but eventually in time, Harvey should be able to outplay him, is my thoughts. Okay, seeing as that I'm up on this draft now. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks still left, so I think I'm just going to solidify a running back here. Seeing as to what is available, I kind of like the idea of going Tony Pollard here or RJ Harvey. Let me see where I have Harvey and Pollard ranked. I have Pollard ahead of him, so I will take my Tony Pollard on this turn and just let it roll. Wide receiver is pretty solid as well, to which, again, at this point, considering a lot of teams have not selected quarterback, which, again, I think is in my benefit and is in my favor, I'm looking to I think this team next to me should take a running back because I think it's going to start to bleed out here soon. You see these teams in the middle of the board, guys, that don't have a second running back right here? This Bucky Irving, Chase Brown team, this Kenneth Walker team. The running back is about to start to get bled out real quickly. So the RJ Harvey selection is really good there. And then at least, okay, I was going to say you maybe need to take another wide receiver, but it's no problem. I'll take my Tedorow McMillan there. And I think I'm in a really good spot. I don't care who I have as my second quarterback. Josh Allen is going to be able to kind of fend off whatever deficiencies they provide. And the rest of my team, I think, my wide receivers, guys, sheesh, are ridiculous. Had you taken McMillan here on this turn, I think it would have been better off for your team. I think you could have waited on on quarterback too. But hey, to each their own. I think it's solid. Okay. Anyway, continuing on. Let me get back into this chat. Is Dobbins underrated? I think there's a chance that he could be underrated, but when you have a second round selected running back, right, and the team goes out into the NFL draft and says that they were looking to draft Genty, but they settled with Harvey, and they were trying to just get somebody else to kind of mix up this backfield and that he could play the joker role, quote unquote, whenever the coaching staff, the organization makes that level of an investment in running back, in comparison to Dobbins, who was really signed late in the offseason, primarily because they knew that McLaughlin and Estime weren't going to cut it. Literally, they just cut Estime. I think Dobbins is the backup, but he could be underrated. We'll see. Penix and offense goes off this season. Fingers crossed, legitimately. I hope the best for Penix. I think he's a very talented quarterback, but the NFL sometimes makes talented, college quarterbacks not look great. Because whether it's the scheme, whether it's the offensive coordinator, whether it's the talent around them, I am hoping for the sake of Bijan, London, Mooney, and Kyle Pitts that he's as advertised. And his Washington days kind of starts to flood in here and we really start to air it out and start throwing bombs over teams' heads. Mo sends in a question, says, my question's in the chat. Thank you, Mo. I appreciate that, sir. Says, I have Patrick Mahomes, Jamar Chase, BTJ, Josh Jacobs, Chuba Hubbard. Love it. Already, first and foremost, those 5 players, I mean, you got 2 top 20 running backs, 2 top 12 wide receivers, a top 8 quarterback. You have Loveland, which is in my mind going to be a top 12 tight end. You have Marvin Harrison, which is another one of these top 24 wide receivers. The Ravens defense, Chris Boswell, and then you got a pretty solid bench of players with Stephon Diggs, Caleb Johnson, and George Pickens. Additionally, you've gone ahead and you've made some investments in players that in my mind are going to be lottery tickets. Jaden Blue, Mason Taylor, and Cedric Tillman. I think this is a job well done ultimately. I think going Loveland, if you're going to draft Loveland this year, I would suggest that your second tight end on roster is a little bit more solidified than a Mason Taylor. Now, I'm not saying that your investment it's the wrong one. I'm just saying it does leave a little bit of room for risk, because if Loveland isn't able to kind of comprise of a high enough target share early in the season, because again he is still a rookie, and it takes him a couple weeks to build up, I would like someone like Jake Ferguson on roster so I can throw him in there immediately for the first couple weeks and at least get some value, or maybe a Dallas Goedert, rather than just having to throw Loveland out there blind and just pray. But hey, I've seen it work in the past with Laporta. Speaking of Laporta coming off the board legitimately as I just said it. So fingers crossed that everything goes off without a hitch. Brian, Colorado, thank you very much. Long time no see, Brian. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great offseason. Says, give me some advice. Give me any advice or concerns on my team. It's a 2 quarterback super flex full PPR. Kyler, Trevor Lawrence, Stroud. Beautiful. Love that. We have Achane, Breece, Tyrone Tracy, Brian Robinson. Okay. As of right now, RB2 is a little bit sketchy because I think there's a chance that Breece Hall could get a lot of his workload taken from Braylon Allen, and I think Cam Scatterbo could very easily take over the job from Tyrone Tracy. But we'll keep that monitored. Neighbors, Evans, Tyreek Hill, McMillan, Travis Hunter, Tillman. I mean, your wide receivers are your team. They're the backbone. And considering you play in a full PPR, I think it's a job well done. You have Kelsey and Ferguson at tight end. Yeah, RB2 is your only question mark. Really, that is it. Once that gets settled as to whether or not Breece Hall and Tyrone Tracy can pull their weight, I think that is going to be able to kind of incite you as to what you need to address going forward, if trades need to be made or if you can just survive as is. Because you've got 3 solid quarterbacks, a slew of unbelievably talented wide receivers, solid tight end production, a great RB1 in a full PPR. But the question is, can Breece Hall and Tyrone Tracy suffice for that RB2 position, which I think, again, in time, we're going to be able to tell soon enough here. Also have Jake Bates in the Packers defense. Great. I'm not sure about the Packers defense week 1 against the Lions, but hey, maybe they are better than advertised. All right, let's see here. Patrick sends in a question. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that, brother. Patrick says, in a 12-team full PPR league, keeper league, in fact, 2 wide receivers and running backs, 1 flex. We'll stream tight end this season. I have Purdy, May, okay? Chase Brown, Gibbs, Charbonnet, Warren, Scatterbo, Tootin, Sampson, BTJ, Sutton, T-Mac, Egbuka, and Coleman. Man, wide receiver, BTJ, Sutton, T-Mac, Egbuka. Dude, how do you guys get away with such ridiculous wide receiver cores? Do people just sleep on these players? Is that what's going on? I'm legitimately curious how you guys get that much talent across the board there. That is unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, in terms of my immediate thoughts, quarterback is really good because, of course, you have Purdy there. And then if, Purdy goes awry, you have May just to kind of fill in with the rushing upside. Running back is great. You have the quote-unquote kind of lottery tickets, the best ones potentially with Charbonnet, Scatterbo, Tootin, and Sampson. You've got 3 great producers that are all PPR relevant in Gibbs, Chase Brown, and Warren. Yeah, the fact that you got Gibbs and BTJ and Chase Brown in your first 3 rounds, like, I envy you, legitimately. That is a monster team. JK sends in a super chat. Thank you, JK. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Says, I had the 8th pick in a 12-team full PPR league. Please rate. I have Purdy, JSN, McMillan, CMC, Irving, Kincaid, Kamara. How do you get Kamara with that team? You have Christian McCaffrey, Irving, then JSN, Kamara in the 4th in a full PPR. Guys, I don't understand why Kamara goes so late. I legitimately don't. He is such a good football player. And he is so good in fantasy because of the reception count. Like last season, like I'm gonna mention this tomorrow in the running back video. Last season with Rattler, he was averaging 8 targets per game when Rattler was starting last season. Like there's gonna be so much value to be had until Shuck comes along, but even then, Kamara is gonna be really valuable for full PPR purposes. Yeah, I mean, look, just that start alone, on top of the fact that you have Worthy, Devontae Smith, I got no complaints with this team. I think the biggest question mark is Kincaid, and that is going to be the biggest potential weakness. And we'll keep an eye on that and see whether it ends up developing as a weakness or not. Okay, so I have Pacheco potentially available here, or I can go wide receiver. Rashee Rice, do I take the investment? I think I'd rather just have the flex option. Ooh, how much time do I have? 28 seconds. I'm curious if I have a Dunze higher than Pacheco in my rankings. I don't mind that. That's fine. I started scrambling because I'm looking. Oh, you know what? I should have waited. It's fine. It's fine. Yep. That's legitimately what I thought about taking. I was like, do I want to take Golden? Then I looked up to see if Pearsall was available, not knowing that he got taken at 7.7. Then I scrambled because I was legitimately going to type Egbuka, and I was like, where the heck is this guy? It's fine. Good picks on the end there, brother. Well done. Okay, continuing on. So where are we at here? We took care of that. We took care of JK. Yeah, Kincaid is pretty much the biggest concern. And I would probably like to have another tight end on roster just in case he's not able to pull it for, to begin with. Anthony Barrett says, in a PPR, smart to play with Kittle and Pearsall. Yeah, I have no issue with that. Even if I had Christian McCaffrey on that team, I'd still roll it. Let's see here. Calvin sends in a question. Calvin says the following. Where's your question, Calvin? It says, any moves needed in a 10-team half PPR Superflex? We have Baker and Purdy. Beautiful. And Drake May. Wow, okay. Running backs are Bijan, Christian McCaffrey. You have Brian Robinson as a handcuff, Bigsby and Mason, Neighbors, Evans, Hetero, McMillan, right? Yeah, no. There's no need to make any moves. You keep it as is. You're solid, brother. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that your kicker is a Cincinnati kicker. I don't really love Evan McPherson. Since his rookie year, he's kind of gone on a downtrot. So that's the only concern I have there. Outside of that, really solid team. Johnny Kilroy says in a follow-up, says, I have Neighbors as my wide receiver 1. Should I start Adams or Moore as my wide receiver 2? As of right now, I'd probably lean towards playing Devontae Adams there. Lewis sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says, in a 12-team half PPR 3 wide receiver 1 flex team consists of Dak, Genti, Kamara, London, Evans, Waddle, and Njoku, Pacheco. Bench is Tootin, Sampson, /Ford, Mooney, and May. Yeah, I mean, look, as of right now, Dak Prescott, solid quarterback 1, assuming they're going to be in negative game scripts all season long, trying to come back in the second half. That obviously has bode well in the past. JCM is a fantastic pick there in this round as well. Good shit. That was well done. Kamara and Genti, solid number 1 and 2 as a combo. London, Evans, you have Njoku. I mean, look, the only thing that I would have loved is a little bit better wide receiver depth on the bench. That's the only thing. Only having Mooney to come off of the bench scares me because, again, I just wanted to have one more extra piece there. But considering the way that it stands, I can live with it because you do have Sampson and Tootin, who are lottery tickets. If you had an extra roster spot available, you may have gone and grabbed another wide receiver. But as of right now, I'm okay with how it stands. J9 says, hey, thoughts, Thoughts? Patron. Let's see. Did you send me a message on Patreon? You did. Let me see if I can check it out right now. Jay Nice. I see it. Thank you, sir. Says I have Puka, Lamar Jackson, Swift, Hubbard, Egbuka, Warren, Pearsall, Cincinnati's kicker, Chargers defense, benches Jaden Blue, Rico Dowdle, Kirk. Okay, cool. I mean, looking at it across the board, when you're okay, so here's my concern. Your RBs are your biggest risk, right? How many teams are in this league that your best RBs are Swift and Hubbard? That's my concern right now. And your best wide receiver 2 is either Egbuka and Pearsall. I would have thought you would have gotten more value out of this. How many teams are in this league? I'm trying to remember. I don't think you ever mentioned that to me. You said you're the 9th pick, but I don't know how many teams are in this league. If you can do me a favor, Jay Nice, and just type it in the live chat, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Philip Zhang says, is it a reach to take McMillan and Henderson on the 3-4 turn? No, I don't think so. I think it's justifiable because, again, you got to think about it this way, guys. Tedoroa McMillan is going to get himself probably somewhere near 130 targets, I think, this season. I think that's a safe number to potentially project. If you're going to get that many targets, let's say he maintains a 60% catch rate this season. Let's see here, calculator, because again, wide receivers have a significantly lesser catch rate than the tight end position or running back position. But let's say 130 targets times 0.6, that's about 78 receptions. Let's say his ADOT is like 15 yards. Like the potential at which he's able to probably bring down like 78 receptions, probably somewhere close to, I want to say 1,050 yards base minimum, maybe 6 touchdowns. The question is, what does that equate to in like a full PPR? It's like 220 points in a full PPR. Let me see what that equates to last season in terms of wide receivers. Just projecting it out. 219 points as wide receiver last season would have finished as wide receiver 18. Pretty good. So I think in that 3-4 turn, solid. Again, I think that's what we should see from him. Now, Henderson's a little bit of a different situation because you still have Ramondre. You still have Drake May's rushing ability. Those are impactful, kind of additives to the equation that make it a little bit more difficult to predict the potential outcome there because of those extra potential threats within the backfield. So makes it a little bit trickier, but I could justify it considering I know what kind of talent we're talking about there. All right, where are we at here? We had a question that came in from Anthony Barrett. It says, what is your projection on Hunter offensively? I mean, I've been saying it all off season. I think he's going to put up Marvin Harrison Jr. numbers from last year. In a full PPR, Marvin Harrison Jr., just to kind of play it out here. Why is Marvin not coming up? Harrison. There it is. Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison last season in a full PPR finished as wide receiver 30 overall with 196 points. He finished with 62 grabs for 885 yards and 8 touchdowns. I would project there's going to be a lot more receptions for Travis Hunter and probably less touchdowns effectively because the way that the offense for Liam Cohen is going to structure out, a lot of screen passes, a lot of get the ball out of your hand quickly. Last season, 47% of Baker Mayfield's passing attempts were less than 2.5 seconds that he had the ball in his hands. So he caught and threw. Just quickly get the ball out of his hands, turn Hunter into the Chris Godwin of this offense-esque, get a lot more receptions, maybe a similar yardage count, less touchdowns. I think wide receiver 30 is kind of the position that he could kind of hold under the assumption he plays enough offense, he stays healthy, and they don't wear him out on defense. Lilexel sends in a question. Says, in a 12-team league, Nix, Gibbs, Jones, Nico, Neighbors, McBride, Egbuka, and Pearsall, Adunze, Jennings, Kirk, Dobbins, Tootin, and Davis. 2 keepers were Gibbs and Nico. What's your thoughts? Okay, first and foremost, you're granted a ridiculous advantage with your keeper. So first and foremost, congratulations. Second of all, the fact that you're able to get Neighbors and McBride in a full PPR. ridiculous. You may have the strongest team. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna throw it out that you may have in fact the strongest team as of right now, because you also accompany that with a top 6 quarterback in Bo Nix that has rushing threat upside. You have Igbuka Pearsall, Adunze. Somebody's going to come asking for a trade soon enough. I don't love that your RB2 is Aaron Jones. I don't love that. And I'm going to try to tell you to trade out of that. But that's going to be in a couple, probably in a couple weeks here. Not something that we do and address right now. Okay, I want wide receiver, or I want tight end. So seeing as, okay, so I'll take either of these 3 options. I'm going to go with Njoku, but considering this guy has a McBride, I don't have to waste my pick on it just yet. Stephon Diggs really good. Yeah, we'll take Stephon Diggs there very happily. Jay Nice says 12 team league. Yeah, so how did you end up with that? How did you end up with only that as your running backs? That's my question. Let's see here. What happened here? Warren come off the board. Beautiful. That's great on your end. Then I want my tight end of Njoku. This right here is a job well done. Golden, Igbuka, Shakir, Warren. Warren this late. Guys, how do we let that happen? How are we taking Dobbins and Brian Robinson ahead of Jaylen Warren? What's going on, guys? Are we falling asleep at the wheel here? I'm so legitimately confused. I'm dumbfounded here. Okay, anyway, where we're at. Catching up. Alexo says it's a half PPR. I had the number 1 pick. Okay, that makes sense. But hey, listen, you did a job well done with that. Green Screen Man says, hey, Andrew, in a 2 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex league in a full PPR, how should I be drafting? Well, I would suggest that if you're playing in a 2 quarterback league, you kind of approach it in one of these potential facets where you're taking a quarterback in your first 2 rounds, and then you're not reinvesting until potentially this round here. You see where Herbert, Love, McCarthy came off the board. I think that's a great opportunity to take a quarterback. Fields, you could have even waited on Fields, but in this kind of a circumstance, if you wait back here, that's solid. I don't love the fact that I ended up with Stroud, but considering the 3rd round reversal, I kind of was left subject to that. So as of right now, I would say that's kind of how I would like to approach it. Taking a quarterback early, then reinvesting in like round 6, probably. I mean, in my case, I had to take Tetero McMillan. There's no reason he should be available there. So I'll take it. Even if it has to be an investment to where I get Stroud, which should be better this season. Benin says, in a 10-team half PPR, I got myself Mahomes, Jacobs, Taylor, okay, Cook. Jacobs, Taylor, Cook is ridiculous, okay, just first and foremost. Then you have Devontae Adams, Ridley, J-Mo, okay. Kelsey's your tight end. Really, I mean, I think Benin, your team is going to be decided by one position, wide receiver. Wide receiver will determine the fate of your season, because we know that Jacobs, Taylor, Cook, your 2 running backs in your flex are going to get their jobs done. Kelsey's going to be great early on in the season, but Ridley, Adams, J-Mo, Hunter, that is the key to your success this season. If they can pull it off, then that's what can get you into the playoffs and beyond. How is Eckler coming after Judkins? I'm so legitimately confused. All right, anyway. Green screen, we took care of. Yeah, so as of right now, green screen, everything in terms of running back, wide receiver, flex, considering you can start a double flex 3 wide receiver league in a full PPR, I'm probably going hero RB. So I'll take 1 running back early, and then I'll invest in quarterbacks, and I'll invest in my wide receivers, and then I'll return back into. So it's basically like a modified hero quarterback and running back strategy to an extent. To where if you can get someone like Breece Hall in the 7th or Pacheco in the 7th, that's when you reinvest, or you know what I mean? Like after you've taken your quarterback in the 6th, you come back to running back. You can take a JCM here, or an Aaron Jones, or a Tracy in the 8th. So that's who you're looking for your RB2, because you want to solidify wide receiver, because you can start 3 of them and 2 flex. So basically 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 4 wide receivers in a row, then a quarterback again, then a running back. That's the way that I go about it. Okay, so this draft is about to conclude. Once it does, I'll probably answer a couple more questions, then I'm going to be heading out. I got a couple drafts here in just about like 30, 40 minutes. I got a draft ahead of me. So I do appreciate y'all coming through. Is this a 2 quarterback league? It is. 2 quarterback league. I do appreciate y'all coming through supporting the channel. Of course, I will be back tomorrow talking about my top 36 running back rankings for week 1. Yes, the season has arrived. I hope you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. Enjoy your families. Enjoy, fantasy football. Enjoy the day off tomorrow for many of you. But I will be back tomorrow with a video, all that kind of jazz. Should be fun. Octavio sends in a super. Thank you very much, Octavio. Appreciate that. Says in a 10-team league, I picked from 7, Allen, CD, Amon-Ra, Omarion Hampton, Brees Njoku, Tetaroa McMillan, Pollard, Montgomery, Golden, Charbonnet, JCM, and Coleman. Man, your bench is stronger than some teams' starting lineups that I've seen in a while. But it is a 10-man league, so I understand it. But I think your biggest question mark as of right now is whether or not, it's going to be like, who are you playing at RB2? That's really just going to be the question, because it's going to either be Pollard or Brees Hall going forward. And I think those are, great options, top 24 in their own right each. I think you may get to a point to where Montgomery may even vie for some potential starts going forward here. Having Golden on a potential bench option, I think, is really strong as well, because you don't have to throw him out into the mix immediately, which kind of gives you a little bit of a buffer of time. So as of right now, really strong team, but considering you are playing in a 10-team league, the expectation is that you should be able to put together some monster squads, and you definitely went ahead and did so here with, Josh Allen, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Omarion Hampton, Tetaroa McMillan, Pollard, Bree. Yeah, that's a really, really well put together. Am I stupid for sitting Calvin Ridley against Surtain? No, you're not. I've already thought about that. When somebody asked me about Calvin Ridley earlier today, I was like, wait, they play against Denver. Patrick Surtain. But that's the thing. Is Patrick Surtain going to follow him, or is he going to stay on one side of the field? Really, that's the question at this point. Okay, we had a couple more questions come in here. I'm just waiting for these draft picks to go through. I think Shaheed here, just pretty much solidifying wide receiver in a 3 wide receiver league. That's basically it in terms of wide receivers. I'm done investing in wide receiver at that point. What I'm going to do here on my next selection is take my 3rd quarterback, because, again, it's a 12-team league, so I would rather just have that 3rd quarterback on roster. It's either going to be Penix or Cam Ward, and then I'm just going to pretty much call it there. We'll go full screen. We'll answer a couple more questions, and we'll head out. In terms of how some of these drafts went, looking at some of these roster constructions, Hurts into a running back, into 3 wide receivers, into a running back, into tight end, into quarterback. That's kind of the same structure, just different order in which I went about it. And I like Stafford and I like Stroud, just in the same kind of vein. I think they're both very solid. You could also do it like this, where you wait on quarterbacks and you get Caleb Williams and McCarthy. And I think this is also just as solid of a potential approach. Now, you didn't take a tight end because you auto-draft and you left, but that's fine. Daniels into Aaron Jones as your RB2. I can live with that, considering what you're able to build in the meanwhile. We'll just take Cam Ward there. Let me look at some of these other teams. Lamar, you haven't taken a 2nd quarterback. That's interesting. But I guess you can just add, well, there goes Penix. Basically, now you're subject to taking Bryce Young as your quarterback too, which, again, I think it could work, but a little bit sketchier. Geno Smith's also available. I think that works. But yeah, I think this also works. If this ends up being the game changer where Bryce Young can deliver, then at that point, there's no problem. Okay, really quickly, a couple things that I wanted to do before we head out. First and foremost, I'm going to answer a couple questions. Again, if you guys want my all-encompassing rankings, you can check out the Patreon. There's a link down in the description for your upcoming drafts. In regards to the potential of, getting my rankings every single week, every Sunday, upcoming drafts, check out Betr. I know that there's a couple plays on Betr that I put in just today. Let me see if I can go and log in and share them really quickly with you guys. All right, I was able to log in, so let me go and find it real quick. Yeah, so this is the current play that I've put together. Just want to check this out really quickly. Devon Achane going higher than his 24.5, pretty much more than 24.5 receiving yards, and then Chase Brown week 1 going more than 2.5 receptions. I think that is a pretty solid play going into this week, ultimately. So Oh, I am somehow out of focus. There we go. And I'm still out of focus. I think the microphone is taking advantage of the situation here. I don't know how, but it somehow is. Okay. Where are we at? A couple more questions here, and then we'll be heading out. Appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel. Paul Adams sends in a question. Thank you very much, Paul. Appreciate it. Says quarterback, Bo Nix. Wide receiver, Neighbors. Wide receiver, okay, you have as well Amon-Ra. Running backs are Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones. Super, okay, we have flexes, Tyreek Hill, Evan Ingram. Defense is the Rams. Bench, okay. Interesting looking team. Neighbors, Amon-Ra into an Alvin Kamara, Tyreek Hill combo. Okay. Rams defense, Jordan Mason, Jaden Blue, Downs, Judkins. I don't know if you need Kendre Miller. I don't know if you need Judkins there. Reichard's a solid kicker. I think, again, RB2 is the biggest toss-up in that scenario, which is Aaron Jones. If Aaron Jones can fend off Jordan Mason, which you also have on roster, then you'll be fine. If not, then at least you have the backup to kind of suffice. Nick says in a 12-team full PP or half PPR league, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. We have Nix, we have St. Brown, we have Neighbors, we have Hubbard, okay, RJ Harvey, Laporta, JSN, Golden, Loveland, Jaden Blue. I mean, in terms of a 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex format, top 6 quarterback, 2 top 12 wide receivers. If I was you in a half PPR, I would have invested in running back a little bit earlier. Instead of taking JSN, I would have loved somebody better than Hubbard and RJ Harvey as my RB2, 1 and 2. That's the only potential risk that you are running this season. Otherwise, pretty strong team across the board elsewhere. TY sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew, I'm drafting in 10 minutes in a 1 quarterback, 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league, full PPR. Drafting from the number 3. How do I draft? You're either taking Lamb or you're either taking Gibbs. And from there, whoever you take, you pretty much are following with the next round pick being somebody that is going to be the opposite position. So if you're going to start RB, then you go wide receiver with the next pick. If you're going to start wide receiver, go RB with the next pick. Then subsequently after, you are consecutively going to be taking wide receivers in order to fill those 3 wide receivers and 2 flex spots, considering the 10-man league. You could take an advantage in the 3rd and 4th at a tight end or quarterback, but it's not necessary per se, depending on how many teams are. It's a 10-man league. Okay. So maybe you can get away with a 3rd round tight end or quarterback, but ultimately wide receiver should be the play. So it's like a hero RB approach. Alrighty. Johnny Kilroy sends in a question, says on Yahoo in a full PPR 2 flex 10-man league, I have Burrow, Neighbors, Adams, Henry, Jacobs, Ingram, Hampton, Connor, Loop, as in the kicker. Okay, Arizona defense. His bench is Moore, Egbuka. Okay, Rice, Dobbins, Myers, Benson, Judkins, and Houston. Okay. I mean, as a whole, Burrow, top 5 quarterback. You have Neighbors and Adams, really solid. You have Jacobs and Henry, Hampton. Like, you went RB heavy, but, I mean, with Connor as well. And I don't even mind it. Like, ultimately, I think you've just got a lot of studs across the board. I'm pretty happy with how this team turned out, actually, considering how RB heavy you approached it. Oop, all right, my YouTube just crashed. Let me just go to reset that. Okay, I'm just going to look here and answer the questions really quickly just before we get out here. Okay, so a couple more questions ahead. Actually, no, I'd actually prefer to move it here. Should I start Hampton or Brees? Hampton. Yeah, 100%. Cam Ward's a terrible pick. Not in a 3 quarterback league, it's not. In a 2 QB league, Superflex, that's actually as good of a pick as I could have possibly gotten. I got an irreplaceable 3rd quarterback. That's as good as it gets. But you probably weren't aware that it was a Superflex format, so no problem. Let's see here. Yeah, looking at this team, Henry, Jacobs, Hampton, Connor, Johnny Kilroy. I mean, I don't know there's nothing I can tell you that really is going to change anything. You've got really strong pieces across the board here. They just have to stay healthy. That's it. James Grover sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says in a 10-team full PPR, we have Purdy, Dak, okay. Bijan, Hampton, Blue, GACM, McConkey, T-Mac, Bowers, Pickens, Harrison. Okay, San Francisco, we have Golden. Start Dak or Purdy. Okay, I'd rather start Purdy in week 1. Would you drop Blue for Houston's defense? No, I'd rather drop San Francisco's defense for Houston's defense. Is Neighbors back something to worry about? Based on everything I've read, no. Let's see here. Chris Rosado sends in a question. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it. Says in a 10-team half PPR, we have Burrow, Barkley, Kyron, Pacheco, Bigsby, wide receivers McConkey, T-Mac, Jameson Williams, Golden, Ingram, and Warren as a tight end combo. Beautiful. I mean, there's no holes in this team. Like, again, top 5 quarterback, 2 top 12 running backs. You have 3, 4-ish top 30 wide receivers, 2 top 12 tight ends. Well done. I mean, it's just a matter of like, did you correctly predict the right players that are going to have better seasons than where you drafted them? That's it. Are they going to stay healthy, right? These are the questions that, again, are unpredictable at points. All right, y'all. So I've been here for about an hour and 15. That's pretty much where we're going to call it. Again, I'll be back tomorrow with my top 36 rankings. If you guys want all-encompassing rankings for the remainder of the season, whether it's for your upcoming drafts or anything like that, you can always check out the Patreon. Link is down in the description. You'll get, of course, the draft guide, the subsequent rankings for, of course, your upcoming drafts for a super flex format, and you can ask me unlimited questions there if I'm not able to, of course, answer your questions here today. Additionally, you'll get Discord server access where you'll be a member of the community that is privated there. If you guys don't want to join the subscription service of the potential Patreon, of course, you can check out Betr. As of right now, like I mentioned before, if you sign up today, you get a free $10. You're good to go. As long as you're in with one of these eligible states, perfect set. All you have to do to get my rankings every week for the remainder of the season and be on my email list is use my code, Andrew. Make that first-time deposit minimum of $10, and then make a first-time play within a real cash play. So you have to use one of your $10 that you deposited within your kind of play that you make, picking more or less on a given player statistic. I mentioned a couple plays just before in regards to Chase Brown more than 2.5 receptions and Devon Achane more than 24.5 receiving yards. We'll talk about more of that as the week gets along, but there's a lot of potential within those plays. Couple more questions before we head out. Dexter says, would you take CD or McCaffrey 5th pick hack PPR? I would take McCaffrey. Frenzy 40K says in a 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 2 flex, 6-point per passing touchdown league, 9th pick, draft Josh Allen and Chase Brown, or Josh Allen and a wide receiver. I would suggest in a PPR taking Josh Allen and a wide receiver. Because probably the wide receivers that are going to be there available in that second round are going to be more valuable in my mind in terms of points per game scored and contributed to your team in comparison to the running backs. Gregory says Kamara or Henderson at 3.12. Kamara, 100%. It's not even close in my mind. Kamara is just, again, he has been top 12 in the flex position. So amongst tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs, he has been top 12 in terms of fantasy points per game on back-to-back seasons. In a full PPR, he has been top 12 even despite all the games he's missed in both seasons. He is a dynamic, unstoppable PPR threat. Let's see here. Genti, Achane, or Allen in a full PPR flex, 6-point per passing touchdown. I'm confused as to what Allen has to do with any of that situation. Is that who am I picking or is that who am I starting? Because you're starting Josh Allen, right? Like, I don't understand. Glad to have you back. Football is life. Thank you very much. All right, Damian Sanchez is going to be the final question of this afternoon. I appreciate y'all. Let's see here. Mr. Sanchez says, I have Hunter Henry as my tight end since I botched the position, but other tight ends on the waivers are Strange, Otten, Ertz, Ferguson. Wow, Ferguson needs to be picked up. Okonkwo and Mason Taylor. Who do I target? Yeah, pick up Ferguson. Again, Ferguson with Dak Prescott has been a very, very successful approach going forward. Oh, okay. Singh was saying, who do I pick? Okay, got it. So in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, you're saying, do you pick Achane, Genti, or Josh Allen? In a 6-point per passing touchdown league, I would probably rather have Josh Allen in round 2. So I would rather take Genti and then try to see if I can get Josh Allen in round 2. If I can't, then I would take Lamar in round 2, effectively. Thank you. Devontae Smith or Pearsall, who do I start? We'll talk about that on Tuesday when I put out my top 40 wide receiver rankings. Outside of that, I do appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your upcoming drafts. And until next time, guys, I'll see you. Peace. Okay, so if anybody is still in the live chat and I did not answer your question, I will answer about 4 questions tops because my draft starts in about 30 minutes here. But I can answer a couple. I see JP. If JP, you're still around, says Dynasty question. Would you rather have Elijah Arroyo or JCM? I'd rather have JCM. Let's see here. I have CD as a keeper already too. Yeah, then you're in a really good spot there, Sing. At that point, just take that running back and let it roll. Anybody else still in the vicinity? I know many have disappeared. I know many have ran away. I appreciate it. If anybody has a question, if not, no problem. I will be on my way. Got to go prepare for my upcoming drafts. Good to go. I'll probably give it another 25 seconds to see if someone types anything. If not, appreciate y'all. All right. Sounds good. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace.